Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Stock Market Weekly Brief. So this is where we talk about analysis on overall market and what the likely scenario next week is going to be. We're going to take a look at earnings and all the other sentiments. And we'll look at support and resistance levels for technical wise on the QQQs and Meta, Tesla, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia. And if you guys are looking for the commodities update, I'll do that tomorrow. All right, let's get started on the sentiment. So we get this every Wednesday, and currently it's still looking okay. So as long as we don't get one of those like 50s in the bullish side, and this kind of tanks to like the 19s, then I don't think we'll get that like kind of capitulation move on the downside. Because once we get too much people leaning on one side of the boat, usually we get a move to the opposite direction. So this week, pretty still okay. I mean, it's pretty bullish, but still not like one of those days where it's like where we had, I think, a couple weeks ago, where we had those 50s, and we got a big red day after that. And if you're in greed index, we're starting to get to extreme greed. So if this starts to tick to 80s, I'll be pretty cautious. Currently, I'm still a cautious bull. I've been talking about this for the past 3-4 weeks. As long as the charts telling me we are in a uptrend and no red flags, I'll still be a bull. But we are getting to that kind of zone where it's gets a little bit iffy, and if so, we're waiting for, I would say, probably earnings. It's going to dictate the direction of the move into the end of the year. And if we get to the 80s, I'll start to be cautious as well as a bull to watch out for that sudden move down. Earnings next week, not that much, in my opinion. So the key ones I'll be watching for is TXN, which is the semiconductor sector. We had TSM last week reporting, right? This week reporting really well, and I think that helped the market a little bit. And Tesla is reporting as well on Wednesday, and LRCX is also another semiconductor company. So those two I'll be watching as well. IBM moves the market a little bit as well, since they have some AI in their earnings as well. So these ones I'll be watch. Other than that, the rest is not that significant to me. That won't move the market that much. We'll still have to wait for those big mega cap tech earnings to come out. And in terms of data, not that much Monday going on, and Tuesday not that much as well. Wednesday, really not that much this week, to be honest. That I'm seeing. Thursdays, this will be important. So this initial jobless claim and continuing jobs will be pretty important. Market has pretty much shifted from inflation focus to more so job focus in case of a recession. So these job data has actually moved the market a little bit more now than like CPI and PPI at this moment. So, and not much Friday. So the most key day for me in terms of data wise would be Thursday for me. In terms of pre-market, if it moves the charts. All right, let's take a look at the charts. And technical wise, look at the Qs right now on the 4-hour time frame. Not really that much. So, we got a big move up here. Now we're just tightening up pretty much. Tightening, move down, move up. So you can see it gets tighter and tighter. Each move is within the prior move. This is what I'll call a tightening range. So as long as the Qs don't break it out of this tightening range, we're probably gonna break it out of this on Monday. So we're pretty much at the end of the pattern. And if we break bull, I'm looking at closer to this longer term rising wedge that we've been trading off of for probably some time. Let's see, for a while. So since August. So you can see top here, another top. So that's 3 touches. So that's kind of valid for me. So I'll be watching to see if we break bull out of this tiny range equilibrium. Are we gonna top out closer to this 500 mark? 500, it's a psychological resistance, as well as it coincides pretty close to this top of this rising wedge, right? Not exactly, right? We could move up, another 50 cent and then come back down. It'll still be the 500 rejection. So around this area, very key resistance for me. This 500 to 501 zone, right? And personally, I think we might do that. We come up, hit that mark, come back down, chop around for a week, and then decide to see if we get these mega cap earnings. We'll really break out of the market if we start to get really good earnings on these Microsoft's, Google's, Apple's, and then next we can break this all-time high because we're just under this structure. SPY's already in all-time highs, and Qs are just under this all-time high structure, acting as resistance. Pretty much, this is the bear saying this is our last dance before we let you guys break the all-time highs, right? We either reject here and try to take you guys lower, or bulls are probably going to go to all-time highs. So it's pretty much bear's last hope. Obviously, we can get an all-time high and then get a blow off top, but before any of that happens, we'll stick to one day at a time, and not just guess that we're going to randomly get a blow off top somewhere. But we'll see it coming. If that blow off top comes, we'll see the volume come in. We'll see trends shaping up to a downtrend, all that kind of stuff. So it won't surprise us. So yeah, so I'm still a cautious bull as long as the chart tells me. We're literally just closing. SPY's pretty much closing near all-time highs, and Qs are just under all-time highs. So no signs of red flags as of yet. But we are getting a little bit cautious, right? We're getting a little bit extreme greed, and so if it starts to hit the 80s, I will be a little bit cautious. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of the mega caps and see what they look like technical wise. See if they're going to help the market or not. So in terms of meta, still looking okay, right? This is the last structure that it really kind of had a little bit of a sideways action on this breakout. So for bears, first step, break below at least this structure. If you can crack below that, then we're looking down closer to this daily zone of this 543-ish gonna act as support. Very clear resistance. If we do come down, probably gonna have to support at least one time. So bears can crack through here below 536. There's a good chance they can crack through lower here. You can see there's no volume here, and then we might get a bounce, something like that, and then we'll see where it goes. But if bears can't crack through 536, and then we kind of just bounce back from here, and then potentially maybe form some kind of a sideways action before it reports its earnings. That'll be the two scenarios I'm looking at. I don't think it's going to break all-time highs before we return earnings. Maybe if like Google and Microsoft reports really well, and yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's going to break out before, or something like that, right? I don't think it's going to break out before earnings. Maybe we can get a quick breakdown and then pop, and then kind of go like that, and then get the earnings like that. But I don't really see us really breaking out bull side for earnings, but anything can happen. But for now, bulls are in absolute full control if we hold above 575, which is the high of this structure. So, which is pretty much that triple bottom support. Bulls hold above that is in absolute full bull control. All right, take a look at Tesla. Tesla here. Okay, it's really doing not that much. It's bear flagging. Probably just waiting for earnings. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna be like buying at this moment. Before earnings, right? Big drop on that news, that Catalyst event. We had Robotaxi event, and it's just a tiny bear flag right here. So either we confirm this bear flag, break below Monday's low, then we'll probably come down to this 200 psychological support. Or they report really good earnings, and we come back up to this equilibrium high. Leave these lines. I don't think it's going to access. This could be access resistance when we come up to it, but not as likely. So this is a big tiny range, right? We can up, down, up, down. So if we come up, bounce above 200s, there's a good chance we may come up and retest this 240s. See if we get good earnings or not, and then potentially come up to 240s. If we get a bearish reaction in terms of earnings, right? Maybe we'll crack through. Hopefully not 200s. Then we'll probably retest this 190s. So those are the two scenarios I've been looking at, and see if nothing out. So earnings is Wednesday after. So 2 more days of trading, actually 3 more days, right? This bear flag could actually play out before that. Maybe we get like a fake out, break below, kind of V shape, and then it just depends on the earnings after that. So honestly, it just depends on the earnings. Other than that, we are in a tiny range, longer term picture. So longer term picture, maybe something like this, tiny range. So let's say we pop down, hit that 200 mark, right? And then forms the third level, come back up, and then earnings goes really well and come up here, and then maybe shop around longer. So we'll see. But for now, see how the earnings play out. Amazon on no red flags, honestly. It's trading pretty much near all-time highs. We're just underneath this structure, right? Rejection, 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 rejection. Pretty much just around this level, right? It's very clear around this 190 level. And so far, another slight kind of like slight rejection, but we need to wait for the Qs to break out, right? Qs are in that tiny range. So whichever that tiny range really breaks out for the Qs kind of determines for a lot of these guys. There is a little bit of a short-term trend line support right here, right? So if this breaks bear, we might come back closer to this 180 zone for support. And if this continues to bounce off of that trend line, then we may come up to test this trend line, right? Resistance, resistance, resistance. So closer to this 193, 194 zone for me if we continue to go up. So yeah, so the two levels I'm looking at, bear and bull side for Amazon and Google. Still the absolute weakest. So literally in the same spot. I think we talked about this last week. Not the same spot, but like close to it. So I talked about where we need to break above 168, and it's still under it. So, right, very clear inverse head and shoulders playing out. And then it tried. It really tried here, right? It tried to play out that inverse head and shoulders to really get. And then we had that news, negative news overnight. That kind of moved things down a little bit, and still holding, right? This could still play out as we come back up, break above that. It is still count as inverse head and shoulders, right? An inverse head and shoulder, it's just the psychology of it. It's just a downtrend into an uptrend. So if that does happen, right, this initial move, and it may form like a weekly uptrend, right? Big move up on the weekly, potentially set the higher low, and next week we get a higher high. And that would be a weekly uptrend confirm. And if that happens, we will likely come back up to test this 172 zone. If we can at least break above this 168, yeah, we'll come up to 172 and then 175. But if this can't get over it, right, let's say it drops around here, makes you know it's not that great of an earnings, we're probably going to come down to this 158 level again initially, maybe even lower, depending on how it reports. Let's go report. Yeah, probably maybe 176. Microsoft. Microsoft really not doing that much these days, but yeah, after a significant pullback, this is not that great of a bounce. I would say it's a weak bounce. Let's measure it. Almost got to 50%, so that's okay. If it was like a bear flag where we're underneath this 0.382 and it's kind of just flagging up around here, then that's a little bit of a red flag. But so this big move up, pivot being set here at this 410. So that's the key support for me now. And let's see if it can break above the prior high, which is around 424. So if we can break above the prior high up above 424, then that's a good sign for me. On the bull side, if we can do that, we're probably coming up closer to 426 and a half for me if we break below out of this. And we will confirm a clear daily uptrend. This one is a daily uptrend, but it's not very clear. Not much follow through either. You can see the upper wick, and we're kind of just rejecting from this 423 level. So very key. If you can break above that, then we're looking up to closer to here, around this 426 and a half. If the bears crack through below 410, then we may look closer to this 408. Yeah, there's a little bit of trend line here as well. You can see this trend line support, and this is the resistance. So it's kind of tightening up as well a little bit, like that. And we'll see how it's doing on earnings as well. Although they don't report next week, so there will still be some movements on all these guys next week before they report, I think, the following week. And Apple still just slow grind to all-time highs, and have been rejecting. So we talked about this last week. Very clear resistance at 232.8, right? Resistance, resistance. Finally got over it. Not much follow through, but we are closed. We did close above it, so that is okay. So no signs of red flags at this moment. And let's see if we can just crack through this all-time highs. It's at 232.64. We kind of did on Tuesday, but no follow through. See this upper wick kind of just double top there. So yeah, but we are just under it. So if Apple can do this, break above all-time highs and have a nice move and actually close above it, then the Q's likely broke bull out of that equilibrium and maybe hit that rising wedge top at 500. This would kind of just maybe kind of reject again and slowly grind again before into earnings. So we'll see. But for now, Apple definitely lead bull underneath all-time highs resistance. For bears, honestly, I don't know why you play bearish on this name, but there's plenty of better names. But at least just crack through this trend line, right? Just this trend line support, gonna come back down, and then you still need to crack through this whole entire structure, sideways structure here. If you crack through 230, you need to crack through this 222, and then you need to crack through this 215. And then we're looking down, then you kind of got to form like a daily downtrend. So that's how much bears need to do to work to really crack the charts. So yeah, so for now, those are 3 levels I would look at if you're a bear. And let's see which way it plays out. All right, so let's do Nvidia. No signs of any red flags as of this moment. So we were looking at this trend line for a while, right? Finally broke bull last week. Big bounce. And this is invalid. It's still kind of valid. But broke out of this bull. Now we're just right underneath as well. Double top. Same with Apple. Kind of like double top and then close slightly just below, but no red flags at this moment. We did get a little bit of big pullback on Tuesday, but not that big of a deal. Tuesday was because of ASML's earnings. But with TSM's earnings, we kind of came back up because of that AI narrative. So yeah, let's see if we crack through 140, hold above it or not. There is a tiny bit of resistance with this trend line, but that's nothing to me. It's just a visual guide for me. Slight rejection, and if for bears, you really need to crack below 128, 130, 128 zone. The reason for that is because of this key resistance right here. Right, you can see how reactive the price is around these levels. Top of this move is this resistance. Top of this move is this pretty much this resistance. Right, finally broke above it. Right, price is above it. Came back right to it, which is the top of this zone. Now I can support. Big move up, right? So very clear level right here for Nvidia. You got it. So if bears can't crack through this low, there's gonna be nowhere flags for Nvidia. And yeah, I wouldn't be finding the trend either. Yeah, no sense of red flags. So if bears crack through 128, 130, this zone, and then you gotta come back below this 123 zone, crack through these 2 levels, then that's starting to ship up a red flag for me. But for now, no signs of red flags as of this moment on the bull side yet. And as we can see, if Apple, Nvidia both crack through all-time highs, Qs are definitely gonna try to head to that all-time highs as well. So we'll see how it works. But lots of earnings coming up, and probably maybe a slower week next week, but we'll see. And we'll see how this tiny range ends up breaking out, right? If it breaks out, we head to 500 and then test that rising wedge top. If that breaks out, we're definitely heading to all-time highs and go from there, right? This could also break a little bit bear side, and we'll test maybe the bottom of this rising wedge range. Wait for those earnings. All right, have a great rest of you guys' week, and feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You guys have made this far, and check out that Patreon link and YouTube link as well if you guys want to support the channel or learn more about education. And take care.